Hey guys, Lance Martin with the Martin Group. We are back. Made big announcements. If you saw our post recently, I introduced that we have left, or I mentioned or announced that we have left Coldwell Banker as Coldwell Banker Town and Country. And we have now affiliated with eXp. We are super excited. It's a 10 to 15 year journey.
Yeah.
So you may have seen some of the stuff we posted with Kyle Whistle recently, and today I'm sitting down with Dan. Beers with an S or beer?
Only one beer, my man.
Only one beer.
Yeah, that's it.
How many beers have you had tonight? One beer. So at any rate, I'm sitting down with Dan Beer. We don't really know each other, but we've more familiar over the last week or so. But I've known you by name and reputation because over the years with Kyle, your name has come up, and I understand. I don't know if I fully understand, but I understand there's been a partnership and a relationship. And then most recently, you guys, I guess, cemented that even further. So we just did an hour-long sit-down with Kyle. It was a stream of consciousness. I'd like this to be a little different because I'd love to know your story and how you got into this business and what your journey through eXp and where we are. So spit it. What do you got?
Oh, man, first of all, just the warmest welcome. It's awesome watching people like yourself make big moves like what you just did. And I think you're going to find that you're going to be a real North Star for so many out there, because I appreciate you wanting to know about me, and I'll share my story, but I want to know so much more about you as well, and just think people would be really interested to understand, why. In our industry, people think, hey, you get this place, you have a big, Coldwell Banker in your case and all that, 165 agents, I believe, and you make this move. Yeah. And so I know how much there's pain around and like how things are not always as it might seem from the outside, but people that are in your spot, I would imagine, feel really stuck.
Oh, perfect.
And I'm just have so much curiosity. Like, what made you have the courage to get unstuck? Did you feel stuck? Is that just an assumption? Why do you think so many people allow themselves to be trapped in a business that they're not happy with? And the journey of how you made that change.
Wow. Okay. You said four things. First of all, you did someone tell you to use the term North Star?
No, nobody.
Okay.
Is that a thing for you?
No, it's a Coldwell Banker thing.
Okay.
If you're familiar with Coldwell Banker.
There's a star in the logo somewhere.
Coldwell Banker rebranded. And if you recall, it's so funny. I mean, there's four things that you said. All four of them tie perfectly into this whole process. Coldwell Banker rebranded, and they called it the North Star. And they did the CB with the star. Before that, it was just this block CB, and they spent $1 gazillion. And it's very nice. And it's grown on me. When it first came out, that's great. We just spent a ton of money. But that decision-making process is so funny because there was a corporate structure associated with that, which is, that's what happens when you join a legacy brand and a franchise. But so I'm like, oh my gosh, he threw the North Star out there. I forgot that's what they had called it. But the process of getting from where we were to where we are, and you use the term stuck, 100% applies. I mean, that perfectly describes where we've been. And, I'm in partnership with both of my sons, Drew and Drake. Drew and I have worked together for over 20 years, which is crazy because he's only 37. He literally came during high school. He was working for me. Drake went to college, went a little different path, but then said, hey, I want to jump in. So Drake and Drew and I have been partners now for 10 plus. So we're family owned and operated.
Very cool.
I worked with my mom and dad for 15 years. My grandmother was in the business, but stuck. So this is the deal. Yeah, we've been stuck. I would say, not stuck and paralyzed from a business perspective, but for a very long time, more than a decade, I have been stuck. And I'll define stuck as I'm in a business model, the broker-owner model. I own a legacy franchise that I've been concerned about. And I've used the term broken constantly. I mean, if you watch any of my stuff, I always, the market, not the market. I got to be careful. The business model, the broker-owner model is broken. And I've felt stuck. We had a franchise renewal to get to the journey to you and eXp. We've been with Coldwell Banker 22 years. Okay. We've renewed a couple.
You in long agreements.
Well, it's interesting. That's a whole another story. It's worthy of telling, but just to shorten it, 10-year agreement. we acquired a couple of companies, and when we acquired those companies in 2009 and 10, some agreements got blended, so that tenure maybe got extended or whatever. But we've done a couple extensions. So talking about stuck. So 5 years ago, our agreement needed to be renewed. So normally, well, you don't wait till the day it renews. You start talking about it a year or so in advance. So go back 6, 7 years ago. Our agreement needed to be renewed, and they went to Coldwell Banker. As most legacy franchise brands, they want to do 10-year gigs. So Drew and Drake and I sat down, and we're like, well, the business model's broken. Do we want to do this? Do we want to renew for another 10 years? And the answer immediately was, well, hell no, we're not going to do 10. The question really was, do we want to renew at all? And you do become, I think I'll speak for myself. I became paralyzed by the thought of moving. I've been with them a long time. You're invested in the branding, literally. I mean, I'm bleeding blue, right? And then there's a certain amount of ego and reputation. I have been doing this for a long time, and by changing, does that admit failure or whatever it happened to be? But the bottom line is, at the last renewal, it's not that we should have left 5 years ago, but we ran out of time. Okay, because as the process approached, it takes a lot to multiple offices, hundreds of agents. And at one point in time, we had over 300 agents. We can talk about the productivity of them, but we had 4 offices, 300 agents. But it takes a lot of time and process to make that change. And last time with our renewal, we ran out of time. It was like, shit, we didn't do what we needed to do. We're stuck. So we just went back to CB at that time. And I have nothing bad to see. They're a great brand. They're a great brand. Berkshire Hathaway, great brand. Keller Williams, they're great brands. They're great companies. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's just the model I feel is not working. So at any rate, because we ran out of time and we didn't make the decision to move, it's like, shit. Okay, let's renew. And but we went to them, and this is a little jab. I don't mean to make poke jabs, but I can't help myself. They're like, okay, we're going to renew, but we ain't going to do 5 years. Oh, we don't do 5 renewals. We only do 10. I'm like, well, that's bullshit, because we know multiple franchise holders that have renewed for 5. Oh, okay, we'll do 5. So we did a 5-year renewal, and which is basically up. So a year plus ago, we're having that same, the model's broken. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And at some point to get unstuck, I don't know whether it was me, Drew, Drake, or the 3 of us, we bitch about a broken model. What are we going to do? Are we going to make a change, unstuck, or are we going to renew again for another 5 years? Which just seemed to be just the insanity repeating itself.
Well, I'm curious, what about it? What about the model was broken to you? Because actually, you and I share a similar story.
Okay.
But in a totally different way.
Okay.
Because I almost became you. And what I mean is, I was at Keller Williams, and they approached me one day. The OP, that's what they call basically the owner. They call it the OP. That he was retiring, he was moving to Hawaii. They want me to buy the franchise.
Yep.
And I was really close.
How long ago was this?
This is 2018. No, this is 2017.
17, okay.
This is the back end of 2017 going into 18. And I was really close to the point where I had an LOI. I made an offer. Everyone approved it. And there was one investor in that franchise that was like this passive investor, never around, never contributing. And thank goodness for this person, blocked the whole deal.
Oh.
But the process of going through that brought to life for me, what is this whole idea of owning a company or owning a franchise? Like, how is this whole game structured?
Right.
And what came really glaringly obvious is, it doesn't matter if you're talking Keller Williams or if you're talking Coldwell Banker or any of these legacy structures, franchise structures specifically, is that you have the international company. That's Keller Williams language, right? Let's just call that Gary. Okay. So there's international or corporate. Let's call it corporate. So you have corporate, and what's their job? Like, if Coldwell was structured anything like KW, their job is to sell franchises.
Okay.
Or excuse me, not true. I'm already jumping ahead. Their job is to sell regions.
Okay.
And to manage those regions, hold them accountable. The region's job is to sell franchises. This franchise job is to sell or to build out the infrastructure, get the brick and mortar, hire the staff, and then those people, the staff, the recruiter, in KW language, it would be the team leader. You might have probably called it the recruiter, then fills the office with agents.
Yep.
So that's kind of the structure. And when you look at that structure, you ask yourself, or I ask myself, dude, I'm like, who in the structure, who in this ladder that I just described, who's flying in private jets? Who's wealthy? Who's growing like real long-term wealth? Who's really getting it? And who's just working their ass off trying to claw at like a 3% margin, hopefully if everything goes right.
Right.
And it became really glaringly obvious that my offer that I had on the table, the LOI, was going to place me squarely in the space of someone that was going to claw for their 3% if everything went right, while the regional owner went and got, they're literally in private jets.
Right.
And so I'm like, that's interesting.
Right.
And I still was going to do it anyway, because that's just kind of what we learn in our industry, is like, that's the path.
Yeah.
Until, thank God, there was somebody that I really respected. I saw that they made the move to eXp. I got on the phone with them, and that was the first time I had a conversation with somebody that was about the genuine growth of my business. It wasn't just about come over and get rich by next weekend and like never work again type of like vibe that you would have a lot, at least in those days.
Right.
When people talk eXp. No, this was a business conversation where I understood, A, my business is going to grow, but B, what is this rev share thing people toss around and look at, and back then it was like these obnoxious screenshots people would show me of their money, but they never tied to my business. But what I realized was two things simultaneously. And I'm just curious if you landed in the same place, where I realized, A, all that money represents is the level at which we're going to share with one another, because we're actually incentivized to each other's growth. So if we use that money to be obnoxious like everyone else is being, then it's going to be obnoxious. But if we use that as incentive for us to grow the biggest, tightest, most connected, deepest, like truly detailed mastermind group that we ever could have wanted for ourselves to help our own business grow, maybe that'll be attractive to people.
Right.
And the other thing I saw simultaneously is, like in this model, let's come back to the corporate regions, franchises, brick and mortar, the recruiter, finally the agents. In this business, or in this model, the eXp model, there are no regions, there are no franchises. So you move the agent right under corporate.
Right.
And so where does all that money go that these people had been making at the traditional models? And so what I realized is, here at eXp, they can't sell me a region. I can't become the official, sole regional owner of Southern California or anything like that. But I can essentially own pieces of my region, and then regions all over the country based on who and where I can influence.
Yep.
And all completely based on my willingness to share, to give, to collaborate, to influence the industry.
Right.
So in other words, it's a way of becoming like the de facto regional owner without ever having to write a multi-7-figure check.
Right.
And I just found that to be really interesting. And in that moment, canceled my LOI, said my deal's off the table, sorry, and made the move very shortly thereafter over here.
Well, it's pretty thoughtful. I almost want there's so much there, Dan. Oh my gosh, we should have been talking for the last several years. Because even in our first exchange, you said 4 things that triggered me, and I only responded to 2. I want to go back because I forgot what the other 2 are, but they're like right in my wheelhouse. But on that, okay. So what I think is broken, and you helped crystallize my response to you, is I believe in your response when you're going through the KW thing, and at some point in time they come back to the regional owner. Maybe I've got it wrong, and there's like a 3%. Okay, so was that kind of their...
Well, the franchises, I'm just saying, like a franchise that makes money in our business is maybe doing like a 3 to 5% net margin.
Okay, so then I understand.
If they're lucky.
Okay, well then I understand.
And on a bad year, they lose a bunch of money. Okay. But the region is making money no matter what.
Well, you and I are
right
connecting
off the top line.
But you and I are connecting that. So let's forget about the guys in the jets. Let's go down to the guy at not the agent, which is funny because you said they were at the bottom and you've kind of moved them up almost to the top or to the top, because I just talked to Kyle. The agents are powerful. Our business has changed. The brokers used to be, and my parents are in the business, my grandparents are in the business. The broker used to be the powerhouse in the industry. That's been changed. But that's not necessarily a good thing, but that's what it used to be. Right. So when I'm a broker owner, I'd like to be at the top of the food chain. Well, I haven't been at the top of the food chain for a long time. The agent's power and their ability to command higher splits and higher packages has just blown up, which is fine. Which, by the way, okay, new model. But you mentioned the 3%. Okay, I've been with Coldwell Banker 21 years. Mm-hmm. I'm going to play around with the math a little bit, but many, many years ago, I'm part of a larger group, and the folks at corporate came in and said, let's take a look at our numbers and let's see what's going on. And the benchmark for us broker owners, well, when it's all said and done, 5%. Okay. And again, I'm going to talk in generalities because these other people I'm friends with. And so a bunch of broker owners get together, fully transparent, sit back and, hey, let's share our financials. Let's share our financials. How are we doing? And can we hit the benchmark? Let's just say, with the exception of maybe one, which by the way was a Coldwell Banker, but operated a completely different, very non-traditional franchise model within his Coldwell Banker world. He did it totally different, which by the way, he actually was more profitable than the rest of us. Everybody else, not even close to the benchmark. 1%, 0%, negative 1%, 2%, losing money. Well, in part because my opinion of the brokerage business, we're not in the brokerage business anymore. We're in the ancillary service business. We have been in the ancillary service business as an industry for decades. There are brokers that basically are like, yeah, I don't give a shit if I make any money on my real estate operation. 100% here, 100%. Please feed my escrow. Please feed my mortgage. Please feed whatever we do. And by the way, we do that. Okay. We have a very successful property management company. Thank God. I've said this on video and in public for 20 years. We would be out of business a dozen times in the last 25 years if it wasn't for the property management business subsidizing the real estate operation, which by the way, I happen to enjoy the real estate operation. But every broker, whether they want to admit it or not, is feeding some other source of income, ancillary income. Some brokers, huge on mortgage. Care if I make any money on you over here, please feed my mortgage. Others, which we've done for a very long time, and of course we can't dictate anything. It's like, hey, please come to work for us. Please support my services if you can. Beyond that, anything is bending or breaking a rule. So we don't bend or break the rules. We do it right, but please support our escrow. So over decades, the broker owners, in my opinion, have basically competed against ourselves saying, it's okay, I can pay more money to my agents, but just please support this escrow, title, mortgage, whatever it happens to be. So in part, so the business is broken. So those margins have shifted. So the 3% that you talked about with the whatever the regional service center or the ownership level at a KW, Coldwell Banker would say, well, that number should be 5. And it was, by the way, when all of us were throwing our numbers up, none of us were surprised. I know what my margins are. I ain't retaining 5% at the end of the day. I was much less than that. At any given month, quarter, year, maybe 1 or 2%, maybe 1 or 2% negative. But it's like they kind of talk about being stuck.
Yeah.
It's like, that's okay. It's fine. I can lose money because I'm making it up on escrow. Okay. Which is a pretty interesting model because we're not so many of the broker owners, I don't care who you're with, doesn't matter what, insert franchise here. They're really not the broker owners. They're not in the real estate business. They're in the ancillary service business. It's like my real estate office feeds my other business. And by the way, just full disclosure, we are going to continue on with our escrow company, okay? And we hope we're going to be able to compete, and our agents who support our escrow company today are going to support our escrow company tomorrow. Right. But it'd be nice if the actual business model of owning and operating a real estate company, which by the way is totally different now, would actually sustain on its own, okay? So when I say it's broken, that's partially what I've been saying for a decade, because the margins are too small. Agents, rightfully so, come in and demand more, and for at least the last 10 years, more can be everything. I need it all. I'm like, well, can I make a little bit? Why? You own the company. You own the escrow. You own this. You don't need to make it on me. I want everything. So it's just, getting back to the stuck, we've been stuck. We've been stuck for a while, and what we've been doing is not working.
Well, you have a lot of options though. Why have you chosen this path to get unstuck?
Well, because the legacy brand. This is the deal. It's not Coldwell Banker's fine. Berkshire Hathaway's fine. These are good companies. These are great brands. They've been around forever. I don't want.
I mean, I do hear your voice going high as you say that.
Well, because I don't want to own one anymore.
Okay.
I don't want to own one anymore. I'm done.
It's like when I'm at a restaurant and I ask the waiter, I say, hey, is this, how's the fish or whatever?
Right.
They go, oh, it's good.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
There you go.
Your voice went high. I don't think it's good.
I don't want to own them anymore. So, getting it, I want to kind of hear a little bit more of your story. So, going back to our renewal before, 5 years ago, we've been thinking about it for the 2 years before that. And then I knew Kyle superficially through a mutual friend. But what I knew of him was, from what I saw from the outside looking, which is always can be deceiving, but it seemed like a fairly successful independent company. And then we went and had some beers. I met him at Coachella in 2018 or 17.
Oh my.
And then a few months later, or 6 months or a year later, I'm like, oh, he's at eXp. Interesting. So I called him. I think within a couple of days, we went to breakfast and he shared the story. But I was already there, but I was stuck. I was like, I know what I'm doing is not working. This is something different.
What do you think? What do you think you were afraid of?
I'd been with Coldwell Banker at that point for almost 15 years. I had 4 offices. At that point, we probably had 300 agents. Change is hard,
I ask you that because
it's hard.
This is normal. Because everybody's afraid of something.
But at that point, even today, it's interesting. eXp was relatively unknown. I mean, back then it was 8,000 agents, and other than what's his name? Who's at the top of the food chain? Glenn. Glenn, right?
Glenn founded it, yeah.
Okay. He had the big Keller Williams thing, and there was so much news about just him leaving and forming eXp and all the rest of the sort. To me, that was the story. It wasn't so much the business model. I'm like, oh, okay, there's a whole new thing going on here. But I knew what I was doing wasn't working, and Kyle got my attention first. And when I looked at that, and part of it was this. And I talked about this with Kyle just an hour ago when we were shooting our stuff. Internally, I don't have to know my business model is broken. My agents tell me my business model is broken every fucking day. Because at various levels, top agent down to somebody who just got their license, they are the John Smith Group, Sally Smith and Associates. and I'm like, okay, where's the Coldwell Banker logo? Where these are agents from the top ones to the bottom ones branding themselves, okay? And then when it would come time to negotiate a commission, and I'm trying to show the value of a 120-year-old brand, which I've got my heart and soul poured into, and I look at all their social media, and I look at all of their branding, and either Coldwell Banker is non-existent, or just it's an afterthought. They're throwing it on the card because I tell them they have to. Mm-hmm. It's really, then it's like, wow, okay, you're telling me that there's no value in that brand. Well, someone would say, well, yeah, but every now and then I get a client or some older client who worked with Coldwell Banker or whatever it happened to be. But I would have agents leave. They'd leave me. These agents I loved, and I'm like, oh, Dad, I love Coldwell Banker. I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't want to pay the franchise fee. Okay, well, you don't see any value. Oh, and by the way, you don't use any of the tools. Okay. Or Lance, I love you. Like, well, yeah, I'll try to keep percentages out of here, but for argument's sake, I literally can't pay you anymore. In other words, you're already on a 100% split, as in you get 100%, I get 0. Okay. Now, yeah, you got to pay a franchise fee, but I get 0. So why do you work here? And I would answer the question myself. Well, because I don't want Dan Beer to leave. What kind of message would that send if Dan left my company? Okay, so I'll pay you anything to stay. Okay, literally anything. And I'll set you up in a private office. I have agents on 100% splits. I get 0, and they have 2 or 3 offices in my fucking office. Okay, I'm like, there's a cost associated with that. Oh yeah, but I support your escrow company, or I do this, or we have a good time when we go out and have a beer. Awesome. There's this bottom line number over here somewhere. So that sounds like a broken business model to me. to the point where we would be like fearful. I hate to operate out of a place of fear because I like to think I'm strong. Drew and Drake and I, we joke around all the time. The movie, the Glenn Ross scene, the famous real estate movie where the agents are complaining, Alec Baldwin character, about brass balls and all that shit. Mm-hmm. But where the agents are complaining, you know, the leads are weak. And Alec Baldwin snaps back, "You're weak," you know, and I love that movie. And then periodically, Drew and Drake and I will be having these conversations. They'll just look at me or I'll look at them. I'm like, "You're weak, dude." And they're looking at me like, I'm weak.
The movie makes for a great team night, by the way.
It's an awesome movie.
Get the team together, watch the movie.
It's awesome movie.
It's a blast.
So
the young agents haven't seen it.
No. Well, it's great. It's a great movie. It's our movie. I mean, it's a movie of our industry, our business, and it's so true. But I think the question was, you know, what prompted me to say it was broken? My margins don't work. My agents tell me every day that it's not working. They're not seeing the value in the brand. And in theory, in me, which again, I understand. So we have to create something better. You know, we sat down and we shared. What's that?
It's interesting and it's honest.
It's always very honest. Yeah. But we've been stuck. There's no doubt about it. If I'm being honest.
There's a big lesson there, though, just in general. Like, they're telling you. It's, who was it? I think it might have been my old coach, John Cheplack, and he would say gosh, I forget exactly how he would say it, but he'd talk about, like, the standard. What's the standard? Like, it's the result. Because people say, my standard's this and that and the other. I think it was the standard. But anyway, the result is telling you what's going on. The result is they're seeing value or they're not seeing value, or, you know, right? Like, and in how many areas, this is one area just making me think about how often are we being told the result or shown the result, or the client's telling us exactly how they feel. Sometimes not through exactly telling us, but they're telling us.
Yep.
You paid attention. Your agent didn't say, "Hey, I don't value this." They just said, "Oh yeah, no, you can keep that. I want 100%."
Yeah.
So it's an honesty it's paying attention.
Well, I have agents that have left, and I have very few agents. I mean, a few that I'm sure they don't say nice things about me, but I'm a, I don't know, 95 percentile or more. If you would talk to them today, Lance is a great guy. Lance is the best broker I've ever had. I'm like, dude, you left 10 years ago, and you're at a bar telling somebody else, "Oh, you were so great." Okay, but something didn't work. Something basically was broken.
What do you think that is when that happens? To all of us, by the way, like all of us, the people listening, like what? Because we all have that experience. People saying nice things, but something didn't work. Well,
I don't know. I mean, our business is in many other ways has challenges. You know, National Association of Realtors put out that 2025 stats. I don't. It's been challenged, but sounds right to me. 71% of agents nationally sold 0 houses last year. I've been saying for decades it's 50%, which 50% was pretty easy to justify, or you could prove that. Anyway, 71%. You know, there's 1.3 million realtors. 71%. The number's like 960,000 agents sold 0 houses last year. Okay, well that sounds like something. It sounds like something's a little broken there. It sounds like something.
Well, it's a licensing issue. Okay, I mean, the barrier to entry is
too easy,
unbelievably low, and that's also the opportunity though, because look, we can sit and complain and all of it that it's too easy to get in, and it is. And what that results in is that what's annoying about that mostly is that as a professional that does great work, when you meet somebody, kind of first have to prove, hey, I'm not just one of the, I'm not just one of the masses. Right. Like I'm different.
I know what I'm doing.
So you have to spend time proving that, while like a doctor, for example, spends no time proving I know what I'm doing.
Right.
They're just immediate validity.
Yeah, well, at least the consumer can pronounce their name, their doctor. we have realtor that are presidents of the Association of Realtors who don't know how to say the word realtor. Okay,
so
I mean, come on.
But as soon as you prove that you are different, that you're not just one of those people, just another licensee, then you're immediately separated from the pack. Correct. Because the consumer's so relieved to see that. Now I want to come back to something, Lance, real quick. So that's how you were stuck. What was wrong? The broken model, all of it. what made you want to solve it here? Because there's so many ways in which you could solve it. There's so many paths you could take. There's every brand under the sun that would have wanted
within
you.
eXp. Okay.
Yeah, and fast forward movement specifically, because there's not only could you have gone to any brand, not only could you have gone independent, but you could have come to eXp within a bunch of even different organizations at eXp.
Yep.
Why did you choose specifically eXp and fast forward movement at eXp?
Right. Okay. Well, a lot of it was quite honestly a relationship with Kyle. I know Kyle. I trust Kyle. I've looked at the fast forward movement. I've looked at it, and I have a relationship with Leo, which I explained. We don't have to go through it here. I just went through it with Kyle, and you can watch the video later. This is a model that I believe works. All of the legacy brands, I just don't believe work. Compass coming in and acquiring anywhere, get a little bit of buzz. It doesn't change anything. If anything, it might actually make things worse from a standpoint of what the legacy brands look like. The power shift. The agents have the power. This particular brand, the eXp model, puts the agents at the top.
Moves them right up.
It moves them right up to the top, which is fine. So I'm willing to sit back and say, hey, we can still develop a relationship where we can still partner up. You can take advantage of what Lance and Drew and Drake have to play or bring to the table, because we do bring some stuff to the table. And I like to think our 165 agents believe that. Oh, but by the way, we've also not only partnered up with the model where I think we all can make more money, but we've also partnered up with a team with you and Kyle. And the fast forward movement, everything that goes along with it, and let's leverage that. So Kyle and I talked about I don't even know the acronyms for the rest of them. You got the L whatever, and what are the other eXp knockoff? Whatever they are. It doesn't even matter. I looked at them like, yeah, okay, that's fine, that's interesting. But
listen, that's every company moving forward at scale.
Yep.
Like there's no company at scale that's going to say I'm going to do the Coldwell Banker thing. So at scale, everyone's going to do the eXp thing.
Agreed.
Moving forward.
Yep.
Until, I don't know, some genius, some 20, 30 years from now does something wildly different. But in the foreseeable decades, it's going to be the eXp model, right?
Yep.
Cloud, a revenue sharing component of some kind, which really, you know what I realized the other day? I now get paid the same way Gary Keller gets paid.
Okay.
Like a home gets sold somewhere in the country within his network. And no matter how profitable that agent is that month, no matter how much money they made, didn't make, it doesn't matter. How much money the franchise made that month doesn't matter.
Yep.
No matter what, there's going to be a franchise fee off the top. It's revenue share off top line revenue. It's going to go to corporate. Period. And by the way, that money gets split between corporate and region. Yep. That's why the region makes a ton of money too. So we get paid now the way they get paid through the revenue share system. Now, why does that matter? It doesn't matter because I'm sitting here on this conversation or any conversation to ever catch me on, telling people, hey, like that means you retire by next weekend, get rich and never work again. That is not why it matters. Right. And it's also BS. You're going to work real hard. And the hard work is going to be that money, here's my prediction for you, Lance. You're going to wake up a year from now and say, holy shit, what just happened in that year? Yeah. And
I completely believe that.
But what you're going to say is, I just poured more energy into helping agents than I remember having for a long time. Well, why? Yep. Because right off the top, you're being paid.
Right.
So you're showing them how to run great businesses, but your effort to pour in, to make sure that they hire their assistant the right way, that they structure their farming the right way, that they do their social media messaging right, that they understand marketing principles, whatever is going on in their business, you are incentivized to make sure that it goes really well. And then the really wild thing is you spend time, you're going to find this, you spend time with an agent helping them. In the old world, you'd spend time, take your owner hat off. Imagine you're just another agent. Imagine you're an agent at the branch, okay? In the old world, top producer, someone says, hey, can I pick your brain for 20 minutes? Sure. Or they catch you at the copy machine, or if you're really lucky, can I get a coffee?
Right.
And the person's kind, they're nice. Like eXp doesn't make you kinder and nicer. That person's kind and nice also. They give them their 20 minutes. However, that person that gets the 20 minutes of picking that top producer's brain, they go back to their desk to implement whatever they just learned. Then they go, oh, wait a second. Like I have 20 more questions I got to ask this person in order for me to actually implement this. I've got 20 gaps in the plan here. But shoot, that person doesn't work for me. I can't just go take their time again and again and again. And meanwhile, the person that helped says, hey, I did my job. I helped you. I feel great.
Right.
Good luck.
Right.
What you're going to find here is when you spend time with someone and you help them and then they don't implement and then they're stuck or whatever happens and they don't come back and do what you said to do, you'd be like, dude, I need you to do it.
Right.
Like if you don't go and you don't implement it and you don't win, I literally wasted my time. You have to do it.
Right.
I need you to win. So where are you stuck? What's the missing gap? What 20 questions do you have? Let me answer them, because as soon as you win, I'm going to get paid the same way Gary Keller gets paid.
Right.
By the way, let's make something clear. I have tremendous respect for Gary Keller.
Right.
Like, in a crazy way. I use his name because I feel like he's like the grandfather of like all of that structure, and he actually completely changed the business.
Right.
Completely. In fact, side note, I really hope there's a tribute to him one day, and I'll be flying to Austin to be in the front row if they'll have me, because I think he's amazing. But the way he changed the business and created what he created, in any case, I get to get paid the same way he gets paid now.
Right.
So do you. So does every agent at your brokerage, those 165 agents you just brought over here.
Well, okay. Well, you've given me a lot to digest.
That's my job. That's what I do.
It is, and it's awesome. But it's funny you talk about the respect for KW and Gary and all the rest of that. As you were talking, I have to catch myself. Once God forbid I actually listen as opposed to think about what I'm going to say next. But if I'm being honest, I was listening to all that. I'm like, oh my God, but what am I going to say next? But in part because
I love how authentic you are. It's the best.
It's true.
I love
it's true. But it was kind of going back but it ties back into the respect you have for Gary Keller. Okay, so go with me on this because it ties into basically what I've been doing for the last almost 40 years, which has led me to this spot right now in eXp. So we have 3 offices right now. Previously we had up to 6 offices, 6 different cities, but home base office was the city of Moreno Valley. My dad and I opened Moreno Valley office in 1980. Okay. And my dad worked with my mom and dad. They retired to join Coldwell Banker in 2002 or 3, and then here we are. So what happened in those 40 years? Okay, I used to wear this as a badge of honor. And at some point I thought, why is this a badge of honor? This just seems like I'm insane. And the badge of honor was the following. Today, okay, go back to 1988, so almost 40 years. We are the last and only continuously owned and operated broker in the city of Moreno Valley. So if you go back 40 years ago, so okay, who's in business today that was in business 40 years ago?
Wow.
It's us.
Wow.
And wow, isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? Okay. Well, what happened, which by the way, there's currently not a Century 21 in the city of Moreno Valley. In the last 40 years, there has been 4. Open business, out of business. They're putting that, by the way, all of them are no longer in business. Maybe there's something wrong with the model. Maybe there's something wrong. So number 1 market share in the city of Moreno Valley for the first 15 years or so I was in the business. Tarbell Realtors. I don't know if that's
I do remember Tarbell.
Well, it's funny. You were speaking very favorably of Mr. Keller. Don Tarbell, legend, number 1 market share in the city of Moreno Valley. And I competed with him. By the way, I competed him as an individual agent at a private company. I was brand Lance. No franchise. I was worked with my dad. It was Lance. I competed head-to-head with Tarbell Realtor, but they had number 1 market share. Well, where's Tarbell Realtors today? Well, they don't exist. And by the way, the office with number 1 market share before they went out of business and were basically gobbled up by, I think they got bought by Prue, who then got bought by Berkshire. They actually closed their Moreno Valley office, closed it, shut it down. This was an office with number 1 market share. Legendary. Okay, well, who did they lose number 1 market share to? They lost number 1 market share to Prudential California Realtors and Rich Cosner. Rich is now operating a Coldwell Banker, by the way, out of Nashville. Rich Cosner and Prudential California Realtor, number 1 market share in the city of Moreno Valley for a decade. Then what? Out of business. Okay? Oh, by the way, then reopened business, but out of business. All of them out of business, except for me. Well, look at me. What a badass. Look at me. I keep on going. 40 years later, I'm the last one standing. Well, during that entire period of time, if I didn't have a property management company, guess who would be out of business?
Be out of business, yeah.
Yeah. So going through all of this time and these revelations, it's like, okay, time to make a change. That business model doesn't work.
People doing the old thing. It reminds me, as you're saying this story, it reminds me of there's a restaurant location by my house. Okay. And 20 years ago when I came into this business, it was a Mexican restaurant.
Yep.
And it went out of business.
Okay.
And then another Mexican restaurant took its place.
Right.
And they went out of business.
Yep.
And then another restaurant. And then another. And that's literally no joke. Right. 4 Mexican restaurants in the same location. And I'm just watching this and going like,
why?
What is going on? Like, do they really think like if Johnny flips the carne asada instead of Susie, like somehow like get a clue. It doesn't work here. Right. Something about the economics or something about the lease. There's something about the traffic pattern. It doesn't work here.
Yeah.
But people are stubborn, man, and people are funny.
Well, they're stuck.
If we go from a yellow jacket to a blue star, it'll work.
There you go. But ain't that a fact? Okay, well, I don't know who's going to wrap this up, you or I. So this is the deal. We're creating content. We got a big thing to do. We got a big change to do. We're all in. We want to grow. We want to expand. I was talking to Kyle earlier. We have opportunities to do business in different states.
Yeah.
We have opportunities to open up offices in different cities. It's very difficult to do that with a Coldwell Banker franchise brand. You got to get approval before you do anything. So we're just super excited. So for our first exchange, I'm super happy. As a matter of fact, I was telling Drew and Drake today as I was driving out here, because we haven't had a lot of opportunity to discuss, and just some of our brief conversation, which, by the way, that escrow thing we talked about, I got the green light on that.
Oh, awesome.
Just an hour ago. We haven't had a lot of chance to exchange. I was telling Drake, I'm like, man, I think I'm really going to like this Dan guy. No joke. I really was. I was like, oh, you're good. Because I've already fallen in love with Kyle, and he's a good guy, and all the rest of that. So, and I'm just super excited about our partnership. So, a lot more of this type of stuff to follow. We haven't even scratched the surface.
I want to give you the warmest welcome. And man, here's the thing. Here's the 100% the thing. You're now, and you can tell every one of your agents, by the way, all of you are out of the trial and error business now.
Yeah.
All of you. There's nothing in your path, in your journey, no matter what any of those 165 agents you have want to do, how they want to grow their business, whether it be with their sphere or with a farm or with online leads or you name it. We've done it. And I don't mean Kyle and I. We've done some of it for sure.
Right.
But we have a tremendous amount. Look, we did $63 billion, I believe, that our network, I'm not talking eXp, that just Fast Forward Movement did in closed business last year. So have them come into the weekly mastermind, have them use the link that every one of them now has. Whenever any of them are stuck in their business, they can submit their topic and they'll get live coaching from Fast Forward Movement, from $100 million producers, $400 million producers, everything in between, up to $1 billion in production now. And they will get coaching live. In fact, you can tell them that they can think about Fast Forward Movement as a coaching organization that they don't have to swipe their credit card for. They're just part of it.
Right.
And so if one of them goes and does what they've done in the past, which is to, I don't know, hey, I just spent 10 grand on this thing and it didn't work. That's okay in the past because they weren't here. Now it's on them, because what they needed to have done is said, hey, I'm thinking about what should I know? What are the pitfalls? How should I prepare? How should I structure it? And they'll get the whole playbook from the group every time. So
awesome.
Welcome.
We're excited, brother.
Welcome.
All right. It's a long table to reach across, but anyway, thanks, brother. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap this up. Thank you, Brian, and more to follow.